little bit. What a great instrument that thing is. I don't know what does that remind me of? That's from some other kind of story, isn't it? Or no?
Huh?
Is that from it reminds me of like Fantasia, the bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum.
Such a cliche kind of thing.
Oh, word. Okay.
Like I couldn't tell. Probably I learned it at high school. It's an actual song, but
A word?
yeah. Dance of the hippopotamus.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But the flying scene was great.
That
was cool.
But all the things you can do with a plastic bag, huh? Isn't that nice?
Yep.
All right. If you're joining us, hello. Just taking us a minute here to share the stream around. I want to make sure it goes places.
Goes around.
You might be aware that due to certain budget cuts, we've had to let go of certain personnel. Our executive producer, our marketing director, our cameraman, our camerawoman, our sound engineer, the key grip. The key grip.
Stream information goes round and round, round and round, round and round.
I still don't know to this day what a key grip is. But we had to let the key grip go.
Guy doesn't know what a key grip is.
I sure don't. I sure don't. Okay. Hey, Melissa, how are you? Okay, so I don't have my guitar. Well, that's the way it goes. You'll have to. I'll do this. Here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Hello. Welcome to the show. Hello. Welcome to the show. Hey, Melissa, how are you? Melissa, did you just see the live story that we did? We just I don't know if you did. This is we do a kids show, and we talk about and at this portion of it we talk about what we did and why we did it. And today we did a musical story with Horton Hears a Who. And yeah, like we did a musical story last week.
That's true.
We did, if I'm saying it correctly, a Hungarian folktale called Almafi and the Flying Palace. You found it.
I found it yesterday.
Where'd you find it?
It was on the floor.
Oh, great. Well, that's good news. Hey, we're closer. Okay, that's nice.
Oh.
So we did a story yesterday Lasterday. We did a story lasterday called Almafi and the Flying Palace, and we did it to music. And we had so much fun. It was one of the highlights for us to do on the show that we got great feedback about it. And we were immediately told and knew that we should make that a regular part of the show. So this, I don't know if there are any kids watching right now. This is not really kid material. We don't say bad words or anything, but we're going to discuss more of what we did and why we did it.
Behind the scenes.
And Freddie was like, "Guy, pick a story." And all the past 2 weeks, I am an American. We live in Germany. I live here with my family. I met Freddie in the city that I live in. And if you're aware, there have been a lot of pretty terrible things happening in my country as a result of things that have been going on for years and years. And I was really searching in my head for some kind of story that would in some way align with that, with a line of some kind of message about what it's like to stand up for someone who is in need. And as or
small to be seen.
Well, not even that. Like, well, see, this is where this is. I will not say that this is a perfect parallel to the situation because it's not. About somebody who's a bully or whatever it was, and I couldn't think of a Grimm's fairy tale or anything like that. But today I was thinking about it, and I realized Horton Hears a Who is probably a good one. And the reason why I thought that is a couple of things. Number one, it does speak to, I don't know what everything represents, how we can make this one-to-one, but it assumes that there is equal value in life. And Horton, due to his massive ears, he can hear this group of people, the civilization, and he's aware of them, even though nobody else can see them. And that, I guess, he's in this case, he's the position of the ally. And Horton goes through a lot, but of course not as much as the Who's go through. And this is where I think the story gets a bit complicated. So we can talk a little bit about that because you might have questions or thoughts on it. Mm-hmm. What's extra special about this is that Dr. Seuss had a very, he had a racist past.
Tell me more about this dude. You said his name is Theodor. I
think it would be Seuss.
So it's a German.
Yeah. And
so what did he do?
Well, he was a cartoonist. He was a cartoonist and a children's author. But before he was doing children's books, if I understand correctly, he was doing cartoons and he was doing social commentary and he was doing satire.
Okay.
And
at what time?
Around World War II.
All right.
And also at during the Jim Crow era in the United States. So a lot of this earlier work, right? You can find a lot of very racist imagery of Asian folks, of Black people.
Probably Jewish people if he was a German.
He was, as far as I remember, he was anti-Nazi, but I'm not 100%.
Okay.
Because he was in America at the time of World War II.
Okay.
So, and also if you look at the majority of his books when he was writing, of course, the majority of the characters were white. It wasn't very diverse as you would expect. Yeah. So in recent years, this has been brought up and analyzed. And I was torn whether we should do this or not. I actually consulted a friend of mine who is a kindergarten teacher, and what she thought, and she's also a Black woman, and she thinks it's a good book, and also agreed that it would be good for us to talk about this at this portion of everything. So, a mission that we've got to do this. One of the things we want to do is create cultural literacy, right? I'm a dad. I have 2 kids, and I see a lot. I've seen a lot of cartoons, and I've seen a lot of kids' books, and a lot of the kids' books that are out there or that have been standards are not very diverse. A lot of the music that we hear is also maybe not.
You mean children's
kids music? It's just either not very diverse, not very inclusive. It's just whatever it might be, and that's part of my desire for the show is to contextually introduce instruments, their history, music, songs, where they came from, who did it, what it's about, all that stuff, right? Yeah. But of course, as a dad and as a person, an American, I've been doing a lot of reflection over the past 2 weeks since what happened with George Floyd. You've been seeing this going on. Yeah. And a thing I'm convinced about is that people in Germany, for example, a lot of the schools have a big sign that say "Gegen Rassismus," right?
Against racism.
Yeah, against racism. And it's a sign that usually hangs in front of the school or inside as you walk in. I don't know if your school had that or whatnot.
Yes, it did.
But you went to school here.
Yeah.
How much actual time in class did you spend discussing racism in the modern world?
I remember it was like a workshop.
A workshop.
So
what age?
I think it must been a 6th grader, 7th grader, something like that. So between 12 and 13.
Okay.
And it was a workshop. Many people were invited, but that was like a okay, we got to do that kind of school plan, school schedule kind of. This is important, but we have to give our teachers the chance to get done with their actual, other stuff they have to do.
Right.
Because Germany is pretty strict with that.
Right.
And so I think it was 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, some in between. Mm-hmm. We had some people who where we talked about it. We did like a anti-violence kind of program where you train, where you put yourself in certain situations, like there are the attackers and you see someone getting attacked or robbed by something. So how do you deal with that as a guy from outside? But the thing was, it was just once for 2 weeks. Right. And, after that, it's kind of, closed case and done.
Right. So this is where I think about a lot of this, about what the role is from ending cycles of violence and racism, because I personally don't think the cops are great here either. And I don't think it's the level of violence that's in America, but when we think about what it means to speak on racism, it seems that a lot of people or a lot of institutions will hang up a sign or make a statement, or there might be this flashpoint like there's now, and people say something, but there's a day-by-day thing, an ongoing conversation, an ongoing process of education that I believe needs to be done that isn't being done at homes and in schools.
Yeah, that's fair.
And what I realized as a dad is that, Black families in America have something called the talk, right? I've explained this to you, where they decide at a certain time to tell their kids what's what, and they probably have to tell them more than often because they need to explain to them the realities that they're going to face, that the friends who don't look like them are, so that they have a better chance of coming home.
Mm-hmm. I have a guessing question for you. So how many white people you think are having the talk with their children in America? Like,
I think probably more now than there used to be, but not
because of what happened. You mean?
Well, not because of what happened, because I feel as though in recent years, my generation of parents and the people who are in the 20s who are having kids, I feel like there's a lot more information because of the internet, and maybe there are a lot more questions happening with kids. But again, I'm not sure. I'm not in other households. Mm-hmm. But based on, I've been having a lot of communication on the platform on TikTok with young people from Germany. Yeah. And most of them seem to be late teenagers, early 20s, who tell me that they never talked about this with their parents. Yeah. Americans as well. Yeah. The white kids, that is. And I think that's a problem. I think it's a problem. I think it is the responsibility of,
it's an inconvenient gap of knowledge.
It's very, not just inconvenient. It's a dangerous one, because if they do have a conversation, this is what most of the feedback I got was. The conversation is, I was taught that everybody's equal, right?
Yeah.
Which is only a piece right? It's one thing to say that, but when kids grow up and they start getting confronted with realities and are not able to understand that maybe certain friends are being treated differently because they look different, because they're girls, or because they have religion, or because they dress, the way they dress, or the way they choose to present themselves doesn't fit into a traditional gender role. That doesn't fit automatically. And young kids, right? Young kids, they tend, I mean, I don't know. I think kids tend to follow what's going on. So depending on their environment, that could lead to maybe one kid saying, hey, that's not nice, and them all saying, hey, that's not nice, or one kid bullying and the other kid joining into bullying. It's a big gap. I think it's a big problem. I really feel like there are, two of the pieces of the puzzle, and there are a lot of pieces of this puzzle to put an end to what's happening. One of them is that I feel like parents who sleep well at night need to have an ongoing age-appropriate version of the talk with their kids. And I think schools need to develop curriculum to address this as well. Right? And we're getting a comment here. All right.
Who's writing?
Our friend Krista.
Oh, hi, Krista.
From Indiana. So she says, okay. All right, Krista. So as a white mom, I have my daughter's so you have had the talk. My daughter's best friend is black. She doesn't notice if she knows her skin may be different color, but still human beings with same feelings and emotions and rights. That's cool. That's really cool. Krista, like I think it's good that you're engaging Mary with that. What I'm, your daughter, I think, is 10 or 11 from what I remember. My kids are 3 and 7, right? So, and we're also in Germany, not America. I don't know what the demographics are like where you are in Indiana. We don't have the same population of black people we do in where we live in Germany as we do where I come from back home in the DC area. So, okay, Krista said 11.
But it's comparable to percentage-wise to the Turkish people who live here in Germany.
True.
It's a different backstory.
It's a different dynamic.
Just like comparing the numbers.
Sure. Yeah. But the context is important because there's a lot of history and a lot of baggage.
It's totally different. Yeah.
So Mary, that's great. Or sorry, Krista. So Krista, I think it's great that Mary understands that. What I'd like to know is, in your home and community at 11, what strategy do you guys have for, have you prepared Mary for the realities that, her friend may be treated differently and what to do in those situations? Because this is where I'm trying to get my kids prepped, and I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't been a parent for very long. This is new to me. There's no manual. My son, I'll share with you 2 stories. My son, for example, a few weeks ago, we were looking at a video, and he saw a guy, and he goes, "Bad guy," and it was a black dude, and I asked him, and a friend of mine, and I said, "Are you saying that because he looks different?" And he said, "Yeah." And I essentially said to him, "Listen, just because he looks different doesn't mean he's bad. He's actually a friend of Papa's. He's a really good guy." And I simply repeated to say, just remember, people who look different than you can also be very, very good people. They're not, and he's a good guy. That's how I approach the mind of a 3-year-old. For my 7-year-old, she's quite a bit further on developmentally, but after George Floyd happened, I simply had to talk with her. I said, "Listen, you understand that everybody you go to school, everybody looks very similar, right?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "And I mean white?" And she said, "Yes." And I simply told her, I was like, if you see somebody treating a person badly because they look different, you have to stop, right? And that's my strategy for being age appropriate. I don't know if it's the right way. But I don't know what culturally we need to do in order to do that. I do appreciate books like this though, because I feel like it's a start.
My question is, do you know other books that you could use as a vehicle to link with your child about that topic? You know what I'm saying? Is there any other comparable books where
we've got so many books, and maybe Mary can recommend some, or Krista can recommend some?
Because I find that very interesting.
Well, I want to dig into a little bit about this book where there are some things that I think, again, I don't know what his full intention was with this. It's not completely parallel to what's happening right now. Books like this that I can think of, not exactly. What we do have is we have books like I Like Myself, which is a book where the main character is a black girl and she's talking about liking herself because she's her. And it's about liking who you are. And we have a few other books that represent people differently.
Okay.
I'm trying to avoid buying books that have girls in it that are just princesses who need to be saved by...
like Barbie-ish?
Like that kind of stuff. We try to avoid that stuff. So, but I'd like to know more. And we got Krista writing again. She goes, Mary's best friend Alyssa was bullied one time and she stood up for it. She thinks bullying is wrong at any rate. She is autistic as well, so she is more upfront with her words and won't put up with it. Oh wow, okay. So I'm learning. I'm only learning a little bit about autism. Another one of our viewers has an autistic son, and I have a friend back home who has a child on the spectrum. As far as I understand, they're a child, in many cases, a child who's autistic. They just simply don't have, in many cases, the reservation to say something like those. I don't know quite how to articulate this, but some of the, I guess, polite social norms that might stop us from speaking up in certain situations. I guess some autistic children don't have that in as a filter in the same way. Could you clarify that for me? And then she says she likes the story of Ruby Bridges. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you for that recommation. I'm definitely going to check that book out. All right, very cool. Thanks, you, Mary, and thank you, Krista,
cool,
for that. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Okay, great.
Nice.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because one thing I hear often from parents or a thing I hear frequently is that, like, it's hard to talk to my kids about this.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, like, are there other books as a vehicle to kind of introduce the problem?
Because I'd like to compile a list.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying about these talks is I don't think it's as hard as we think it is, because it's not hard for the kids. You understand?
Yeah.
Like it's hard for parents
to articulate
it.
Yeah.
And
no children
or it can be hard, but what that's a matter of, it's just like you and I, when we're trying to present a concept like 7/8 time, which is theoretically a bit difficult to wrap your head around. We have to introduce that in an approachable way.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same. So the reason why it's hard is that I think some parents have a worldview or maybe have a belief that it's too hard on the kids or they can't conceive of it. I don't think it is, because I am constantly surprised by how smart kids are and how fast they catch on. And when I hear that, I wonder, like, what's really hard? You know what I mean? Like what is really hard? Like a hard conversation is telling somebody, yo, you're really sick. Like, or a breakup is a hard conversation. Like, these are hard.
Or topics where you feel kind of ashamed, where you're kind of hesitating.
Sure.
Where you kind of talk around, not really pointing at the thing or the problem or whatever it is.
And that's it.
But kids are mostly, especially before they go to school, they're very honest, they're very open, and they say what they think.
And they'll ask questions if they don't understand. If they're like,
Yeah.
I don't get you, then that's fine. Like
No.
today I had an interesting one, and this is the other thing I think I would like parents to consider when they talk. Like today, so by the way, some new Prince music has been released. I just found out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like instrumental lo-fi, like groove.
Cool.
So
Gotta check
anyway,
that out.
I was telling Magdalene about who Prince was, and she goes, "Oh, how many instruments does he play?" I say, "Well, he used to play a lot." She goes, "Well, why used to?" I said, "Well, he passed away." She goes, "Why?" Now I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And because I don't know if anybody watching knows how Prince passed. I told her he was sick, which is true. He had an addiction.
That's
okay?
true.
And then she said, "What was he sick with?" And that's where I was stuck because I didn't want to say it wrong. And my wheels were turning, and I finally said to her, I was like, "Hun, I don't know how to explain this to you right now, and I want to talk to your mom first." She's like, "But I want to know." I was like, "I get it, but I don't want to tell this to you in the wrong
Yeah, and you wanted to
way."
explain it like the correct way.
And that's what I told her. And I feel, and again, like I'm not trying to be like, "I'm a great dad." What I'm saying is that if I really feel like when you are authentic with kids and you're like, dude, like just like you are with a person, if someone BS's you and they're BSing you, you're like, man, I'm not going to ask that person again.
But that does mean that you don't believe in the official version how he died.
No, I do believe how he was addicted to drugs.
Yeah, he was found in an elevator or something.
Right.
What was it? Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I don't believe the conspiracy, but
okay.
I have to. I do not yet know an age-appropriate way to talk to a 7-year-old.
So the how. You're talking about the
That's
how.
what I told her. I was like, I don't know how to explain this to you.
All right, got it. Okay.
Right? And
God damn, she's 6 years old. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Krista, you've seen Prince 3 times. I'm so very jealous. I never got to see him live. Yeah. So we talk about something called faking the funk a lot, and that's
us too. You mean?
Well, just in general, like
okay.
Faking the funk is an expression which means like talking about something or doing something when you don't do it well, or you're not doing it authentically, or you don't know what you're talking about.
You kind of skate through.
Yeah. Or BS your way through it. And
yeah,
I feel like kids know when you're doing that.
Yeah, of course.
Or if you're a great BSer, you're actually going to be doing some lasting damage if you fake the funk with things as important as race and addiction and all of these things.
Yeah.
So this is a lot of the stuff that's on my mind at the moment, and also with this.
Authenticity is always important. And I think children aren't aware of their skill of reading between the lines. At a certain age, you kind of lose that, or you forget about it, or it's a muscle that just, there are like other things that are way more important to you during your while you're growing up. But as children, especially, they feel things more unfiltered.
Oh yeah.
More, but uncontrolled at the same time, and you gotta be honest, and you gotta be you gotta have the right amount of authenticity to really talk to your daughter or to your son. Doesn't matter if a topic that feels so important to you to share with your kid. It doesn't make any sense if you just skate through or just fake the funk.
Right. But it's not
nothing will last.
But these conversations, and specifically in the context of what's going on now, we don't just owe it, like we owe it to the kids of Black families or families who are, suffering in whatever countries they may be suffering, who are the minority. But we also owe it to our kids because, they should, like, I am hoping that my kids understand, have enough emotional intelligence to be like, oh man, let me offer to walk this person to their car, or so that they don't walk alone, because this street is not a good street to walk down when you're by yourself, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Right. They need to have that awareness. And I think that's the thing. Chris is right back in.
I think you can control it. Okay.
She says, I feel the older Mary gets, the more I can see her reading between the lines. That must be an interesting thing to see, because like again, my kids are 3 and 7, and like my son, 0 filters, none.
Yeah.
My daughter still doesn't have a lot of filters, but she's starting to get a few of them.
I mean, with a classic filter, talking about your daughter, is when because we do some ukulele sessions from time to time.
All right, no, we got something interesting here.
Okay. Who's writing?
My friend Megan, the maker of Mr. Hattipus.
Oh, Mr. Hattipus.
Oh wait, let's get Mr. Hattipus. Let's put
on
Mr.
the
Hattipus
symbol.
on the symbol.
He's the keeper of the symbol.
All right. Megan wrote, protests have been happening down the street from us. Some stores have been boarded up, and there is more tagging in our neighborhood. We had to try to find a way to explain to Josie about what's going on, big picture-wise, without also giving her more anxiety. It's a tricky balance as parents, and they always have more questions than you're prepared for. You try your best to be honest. Wow. So she's in Queens in New York, right? Or somewhere in New York. I'm not.
Thanks for tuning in.
So Megan, if I can ask you, what your daughter Josie, I think she's around that. Josie is either 5, 6, or 7, and Trucker, I think he's 4. I'm not sure. How is your son also asking questions at this point? And what are you doing to talk about this, or like, what have you said, if you're comfortable sharing with us? Because as that's a person like that. That's the other thing. Some conversations are proactive, right? You can have some proactive conversations where you're getting them prepped, but then a lot of things are simply reactive, based on something your kid did or said, right?
Yeah.
And so she's walking down the street with her kids, and there's buildings are tagged up and things are boarded up. That's a lot of questions. That's I can imagine things are very challenging for you to explain that these days.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, right? So Josie 7, Trucker's more aware of COVID, but not the protests. You live in Astoria. Okay. All right. So maybe Megan's going to tell us a little bit about their strategy, but those reactive conversations, that's where you sort of have to either think on your feet or be able to say something like, you know what, kid, let me think about the answer for a while, and we'll talk about it later tonight, or we'll talk about it tomorrow with the definite follow-up to come on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
which isn't forbidden.
No, it's not forbidden.
I mean, it's wise if you don't have the correct answer, just like right away. I think it, and it sticks to the children's head way better because she was asking in the first place.
Of course. Well, and it also comes down to I guess sort of the basic respect you'd give an adult. Like yesterday, somebody asked us to play a gig. We were about to do a live show. I said, I think we might already have a gig on that day. She said, okay, can you follow up with me? And I said, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's not. it's not bad to say like, yo, I'm bad time, or wait, I don't know the answer yet. Can I give you an answer?
Yeah.
Instead of saying yes, double booking us, right, and pissing someone off, having to undo damage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's harder. It's much harder, I think, to undo a thing you did.
Yeah.
Then, at least in cases like this, there are certain situations where I believe in asking forgiveness before you ask for permission. but when we're talking about development and scheduling and planning around somebody's life, then sometimes you got to be able to say, I just don't know.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Megan writes in. We talked to her as we were walking around a bit, and then she had a bigger sit down where it got more into the police. We did not mention killings, just people getting hurt and use of guns and how it all relates back to slavery. Okay. She had no idea racism was even in existence. Yeah.
Period.
That's there you go.
Nothing to add.
And I think and there's more. And we left it open for her to ask questions or talk about feelings. Anytime she was crying, she sees we are very stressed too. Man, I believe it. That's I think that's the great balancing act. And it sounds to me like you guys did awesome. I don't know if I could or would do it any better, because I can't imagine what you're going through as moms and dads right now. Very, again, age appropriate. Figuring that out, it's just what you and I figure reading is reading an audience. You know what I mean? Certain tones and things you say don't work with certain.
The what stays the same. The how needs to be configured.
Right.
Yeah.
And not mentioning the killings to a 7-year-old is smart. You know what I mean? Or when you get into that, how do you speak of it? I am not, I don't know yet if I can explain what murder is to a child. But
a classic behavior is like using these weird metaphors. Like, I hate it when people, for example, explaining stuff like sex, for example, and they start like explaining it with the bees and the flowers. I'd be like, geez, just cut it out. Just what the hell? Like, just there is something in between the rough reality and these weird ways of explanation, and in between is kind of the right way to do it. It's difficult. It's complicated.
German stories don't have a whole lot of nuance. If you got first of all, Megan, I don't know if you've ever read the original Grimm's fairy tales. I would highly recommend you never read them to your children in their original form.
Well, the story's good.
The stories are good,
but the drawings are very disturbing.
Well, whatever. I don't know if it's a Grimm story, but the one where they cut the kids' fingers off.
They cut all the kids' fingers off.
No, I'm out.
No, like it's too.
I'm out.
No,
I'm out.
No, but that's like, these are like stories, like they're very old and they're updated and they had to do it, and now it's told differently. Trust me.
Yeah, I hope so. We don't have those books in my kid's house, though. Hold on. We got Krista. Okay, right. Krista says, as a mom with a kiddo going through puberty, amen, Freddie. So,
yes!
Dig it.
That was weird. Like, my mom tried it several times when I was like between like 10 and 12, how this whole thing's done, or even early, I can't remember. And I could feel like, talking about authenticity, authenticity. I'm sorry. A kid knows it when you as father or mother is kind of hesitating using the right words, and they talking around it sort of weird, and they'd be like, okay, good night, it's the fuck, it's
language.
Sorry.
Goodness. Well,
Yeah. Oh, that's a sensor.
that's a
The sensor button.
That's the sensor button. What the beep?
What the beep? I'm sorry.
Megan goes, we dive straight into Hansel and Gretel. It's Jeff and my favorite, but then we had to explain to Tucker, never go in the oven. Yeah.
Like,
Good advice.
What kind of ending is that anyway? Like, geez, they just cooked the witch in how was the end?
The sister shoved the witch in the oven.
Yeah. Like, I found that horrifying.
I was good. I was kind of good with it though.
No, I was
cool. Going to eat them.
No, but I was cool. I was cool with the candy house. That was kind of that was nice. But the ending is I don't want to put anybody in an oven like.
Yeah, these German stories.
Please,
they're a little bit rough.
They're not contemporary.
No,
yes.
not contemporary
at all.
I guess culturally, you guys are like, how do I get my children to stop sucking this thumb?
Yeah,
we'll make a story where they cut all.
I mean,
effective, sure.
Yes.
Yes, but traumatizing. Also sure.
Well, 100 years ago, people weren't talking about traumas and about children's feeling.
Well,
give me a break.
Well, like I haven't been alive for a whole long, but the way it seems to me, the way we look at kids has evolved a lot in the past 100 years. They used to be. They used to work in factories.
Yeah, you don't have to go that far.
Right.
I mean, after the Second World War, economy was kind of booming, and my mom's telling me, my grandpa was building a house, and the cheapest workers he could get was his children, and they were working all day, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. They cost, and all you
gotta do is feed them.
Yeah, all I gotta do, feeding, whatever, it's, and if
you get to live in a house,
and if they never complained because they were afraid, because kidding your child was absolutely normal 50 or 60 years ago, and a lot of things change, and you have to be more mindful and more careful about what you're saying, how you treat your children, and of course, with that, the children's stories also changed and were updated as well. And there is more consciousness about how to talk, how to explain stuff to children, because it's necessary. And I mean, back to the Horton Hears. It's such a good book. It fits to the current situation. That was your choice.
Yeah.
I didn't know what he was picking for today.
Yeah.
And very good pick. It fits.
Well, we got to wrap this up because we're going to hit these streets and play some music.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you, Megan and Krista, for sharing your thoughts and experiences. We'd love it if you guys would tell us what you think we can do to make the show better. If you ever want to send us a message, we definitely want to keep doing it. We'd like to try to figure out a way to make it our job somehow. We're still figuring that out. But we got to take a break for at least a couple of weeks because there's just we've not been able to work and earn money since March, and we're slowly.
And it's summertime.
Yeah.
Go outside.
That's right.
Enjoy the weather.
So we're slowly able to start doing that. We're gonna continue on season 3. We're thinking about what to do, how to do it. Feedback is most welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for chatting with us, and we hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend very, very much. Tell us what you're thinking. Peace.
1, 2, 3.
Goodbye. We'll see you next time. Goodbye. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye, Krista. You guys take it easy.
Yeah, take it easy.